Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of y'all and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. And this one is not a nice message, but I'm not really addressing it to the sistren per se. I'm addressing it to us brothers. And this is so that we can have a unified reaction when people come to you and ask you what you think about Diddy slapping around Casie. And let's call this what the F it is. First thing we have to understand about Diddy and Casie, or Casie, I don't even know how to pronounce it, is that apparently this happened in 2016. I don't even know how long ago it happened. And she messed around and stayed with him after that. I don't think that we should really be willing to comment if we're initially asked about it. What do you think? How the hell would we know? That's Hollywood. I really wouldn't know what to think. I mean, I wouldn't do that to a woman, but I really would not know what to think with that being Hollywood. By the way, let me give shouts out to Senor Conga and to S. Jock as well for the links that they've been sending. Diddy is not a likable character, even just based on things that people have mentioned about him not paying when he's supposed to pay, things like that. So I'm not really one to sit up and say, oh, okay, well, we need to do this for Diddy and do that for Diddy. And I'm just not one of those guys. I'm one of those guys that look and say, man, why do we even care? I don't know what they're going to find on him. I'm sure somebody's going to find something on him legally that can be used against him, but I don't know what it's going to be, and I'm not going to obsess about it. It's not my place. I'm going to tell you guys this, though. When you get pressed for your opinion about these sorts of things, I'm going to say to you, don't offer a reaction right off the bat. And then if somebody continues to press, then you go ahead and you say, well, she stayed with him afterwards. And that's what I'm trying to understand. What do you think about her staying with him for 3 years after that? Now, that's what I'm curious about. See, I don't think he should have hit her. I already stated that. But what do you think about her staying with him for 3 more years? If my memory is correct. I forgot what year this was, but if my memory is correct, what you think about that? Ask her, because you see, I'm going to tell you guys that my own mother had a friend whose husband cheated again and again and again, but he was a successful doctor, as was her own father, not my mother's dad, but he was. But my mother's friend's dad was also a successful doctor who helped his son-in-law get started and established in practicing medicine in our hometown. And I'm letting you guys know that man got around. My understanding is that he's still alive. Old man still alive. That man got around. He's, a bunch of kids, right? Matter of fact, many of his kids from his wife are friends of mine, and a kid from a girlfriend he had thinking that he was going to divorce is also a friend of mine. And I'm going to let you guys know, man, look, my mom asked his wife's sister, why hasn't she left? Sorry for yawning in you all's ear. And my mother's friend's sister said, he is Santa Claus. He just voluntarily put my kid in private school, just volunteered to do it. The man, Santa Claus, she ain't leaving Santa Claus. And to my mom's credit, she understood hating poverty. She got that part, but she did not understand staying with a man that cheats, because at some point he's going to bring home a bug. That was one of the things that my mother was like, that's not okay, because you can't get your health back necessarily. Once they bring home a bug, something's going to be permanent, even if you get rid of the bug. I'm going to tell you all, When my mother finally told me the ins and outs of what was going on, I was already in high school. And I learned from her that this means that many women are bought and sold. Even when they're nice women, that is something that they can go through. And so what happens when they just mean? And from my understanding, Casie was with a successful man before Diddy, but the man just wasn't as successful as Diddy. And she just up and left. And that man has stayed out of the limelight while putting her in the limelight. And she left just because Diddy had more money. She stayed until he was done. Young Miami says she ain't leaving that man. So what we're dealing with is a illustration of the fact that as much as black women want you to big them up and talk good about them, they are bought and sold, sometimes even more than other women are. And this is a problem not only in the United States, but in the rest of the diaspora and the continent. Please don't confuse the continent with the diaspora. Please don't do that. We don't come from, I've heard some FBA refer to everything else as the diaspora. No, we are a part of the diaspora. The continent is not the diaspora. Ninja, now that we got that straight. That means they're bought and sold. Other women like money, they hate poverty. But Westernicias are bought and sold, and Western sisters are openly bragging about being bought and sold, but still without being owned. Oh, I'm paid for, but I'm never owned. No. If you were paid for like merchandise, you're owned because you sold yourself. Now, if you're a wife, that means you have things you do to earn your keep as well. But if you're just paid for, then damn, your merchandise you bought and sold. That means he owns you. Now do what the F he says. You don't get to have a headache. You're a thing. I remember one time a man from South Africa asked me if in Islam you thingify the wife. And I said to him, in Islam, the people in general are not objectified, men or women. However, sexually speaking, spouses are objectified, husbands and wives. Yes, we sexually objectify our wives in my religion, and we don't apologize for it. You have rights. She does too. Why is it that where we live, that they start talking about their personhood and all of these things only to shut us off and keep us at a distance after we have paid what they demand we pay? Because they don't sit up and say, well, I want the lobola. I want to lower my lobola because I'm not trying to strain that man financially. They don't say that back in South Africa. One of the reasons black South African women can't compete with other women as far as wives go is because they keep on talking about lobolas, which is a dowry. You're talking about this man can't afford the lobola and that man can't afford the lobola. And then some of these black South African men are looking, and you got the colored South African women that are black admixed, and they don't have lobolas in their customs. And so these men are like, okay, so I can take care of you. Whereas she's saying I got to give up the means of taking care of her and then turn around and still take care of her. So she's a bottomless pit with all this attitude and another man's kids. And here's a black admixed woman that's not quite the same financial bottomless pit, while still maybe talking that stuff about feminism, less attitude though. This is war, gentlemen. Now, that's all it is. The attitudes behind it are part of this gender war. Yeah, Diddy nasty. Yeah, Diddy will hit anybody if he feels he can get away with it. We got that part. No, he wasn't supposed to hit that woman. We got that part too. We never said he was supposed to hit that woman. We all got that part. The issue here at stake is that you are going to be blamed. They're sitting up saying that we somehow are at fault because he could do this to her. No, Well, nobody else on that tape. I didn't even see the tape, but the still images that I've seen from the video show nobody else anywhere nearby. Ain't no one else there. So what do we owe anybody for? Were we supposed to be that close to Casie while she's with him? Remember, she's bought and paid for. She's his property now. Are we supposed to be that close to some other man's property in order to be able to defend her? No. See, sisters like it when you can't even get that close until they need you to be there for protection. They don't get to have it both ways. I've never even seen Casie, so I have no clue what she looks like. I've seen her name. I don't even know what her surname is. I've seen her first name in headlines and on scrolling down. That's what I have seen. So I'm saying this with no knowledge of what she looks like. If we aren't supposed to be near her, and when women like that get with guys like Diddy, they like the notion of other guys not being able to get that close. For them, it's an ego thing. For the guy, it's like, well, for Diddy, it's probably ego too. But that's what that is. And so I'm sitting up and I'm telling you guys that while they revel in who can't get to them, even though she's been bought and sold, that means that these men can't be there when she needs protection from him going upside that onion. And that's the end of it. That's all there is. You don't owe any apologies. You don't owe anything. You didn't fail when he was up there going upside her onion. We didn't even know about this stuff. But this is just another opportunity for the misandrous, feminist hyenas to turn around and blame you and say, see, look what y'all did. No, go and tell Diddy, look what he did. Don't sit up here and say, look what we did. We had nothing to do with that. She had a man that was not going to hit her, and she left for a man that was because of money. And this is a very common story. There are women who sit back, demand money. They may even be nice women, but they sit back, they demand money, and then they don't have the decency to respect the mood of their men. And when that man goes upside their head and hits them, instead of doing the right thing, which would be to leave her in exactly the poverty she can't stand, they cry and bitch and moan, and then they stay with that man because they hate poverty more than they hate violence. And I don't blame any man or woman for hating poverty. But what I'm saying to you is that they hate poverty more than they hate violence. They value the next trinket that they can buy that's expensive over their own safety. And this is a common thing. And as rare as it might be amongst the adult female population, you have a very high likelihood of finding somebody that's stupid because of the hyper availability of bad options, which is not something you caused, gentlemen. This is why it is you are right when you stay single, if you have to live in the West, or even if you leave the West and you go somewhere and you're just not familiar with it for a while and you wait till you adapt to your surroundings, you are right to stay single. And this is why it is wrong to even brag about getting chicks in a place like the West. That's nothing to brag about. Once you say, I can get chicks in America, my question is, well, what the wuck is wrong with you if you can? I mean, if you live somewhere where they seem to have some sense, which probably means no internet access or limited internet access, then I could understand. But since I wouldn't find out about you if your internet access was really cut off, then the question becomes, well, what the wuck is wrong with you that them chicks like you? That's one of the things I said right before I lost my first Blacktreon account. And it wasn't YouTube that had anything to do with that. And I guess what that goes to show is that that's even the case when a guy is rich and really just would have no trouble getting chicks because of his money alone. You still got to ask, well, what the hell is wrong with you? You have to ask if somebody's going to press you for what to say and for a reaction. Then you say, okay, well, here's my question then, since you pressed for it. Did Casie stay with Diddy for 3 more years, even though he hit her? Or did she stay with him for 3 more years because he hit her? That's how you flip it back on them. We are not the same. You owe no apologies, gentlemen. You didn't hit anybody, so you owe no apology. And I bet not catch you giving one. And I hope that what I've said has been a benefit. Thank you all for listening. As always, black heart, black mind, blackout. Assalamu alaikum, and black heterosexual non-select male power because they don't like it, and black patriarchy until extinction of judgment day. And thank you for flying with us again here on Jet Black Airways, where jet black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with us until the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender, justice forever.